The real problem isn't about getting children into a classroom. It's what happens inside that classroom. In Kenya, where we now work, 47% of teaching time is lost to teacher neglect or absenteeism. Children are only learning 2 hours and 19 minutes a day. It is almost impossible to teach a child how to be literate and numerate, how to learn the history of their country, how to learn about photosynthesis when you only have 2 hours a day. So a core failing across developing countries is the fact that teachers don't know the content themselves, that they're failing the exams that they're expecting their children to be able to pass. How do you rapidly change that today for the child in the classroom? If today we want to change the lives of children who are 3 years old, 8 years old, 12-year-old, you have to have a system to radically change how a teacher knows what they know and what they're teaching in the classroom. And we do that through having a two-tier teacher model. So we have master teachers who are experts in their field, who have decades of experience, have been teaching in countries around the world, and who have access to the best RCT data on what actually works in a classroom, best pedagogical practices, best classroom management. And they actually write the lessons, word for word, activity by activity, example by example, that get distributed to our 3,500 teachers. So that teacher, him or herself, isn't having to spend time preparing their lessons. One of the other core innovations we do relates to technology more broadly. We don't assume we know anything. We don't guess. We constantly look for primary source data. We create it ourselves. We spend intensive amounts of time talking with both our target communities, the types of individuals who we're seeking to serve, to understand what their problems are in their lives, how much money they're earning, what they're currently spending on education for their children, what they like about their current schools, what they don't like about their current schools. So we understand our market, what are these families' obstacles and can we solve them? And then once we're operating a school, we are religiously data-driven. We gather data on our teachers' arrival and departure times, on when they opened their lessons. We gather data on every child's assessment scores. We use that to republish our own lesson plans in our curriculum. Everything we do is about making sure we're not guessing. That drives us to a better decision in our curriculum, in our teacher professional development, all to lead to the most important data of all. Are our children learning? And that's what we want to know, and we test that every year so that we ensure that our children are learning more than they would learn in any other school in the neighborhood. All of that's able to happen, though, because we've leveraged information technology, and we actually track that data. We use it to make better decisions. It all comes back to doing what a lot of people don't think is possible, making classrooms transparent through data, using that data to make better decisions, and using new pedagogical models to rapidly upskill our teachers. We're never the same year on year. We're always moving and changing, both from how we prepare our teachers, the curriculum in the classroom, how we engage with our parents, because we want to make this a world-class service, even though it's happening in some of the most impoverished neighborhoods in Kenya and eventually in other countries across Africa. One of our challenges when we were first pitching Bridge to investors was getting them to see people living in poverty not just as beneficiaries but as customers. Impoverished families, almost 50% of them are sending their children to private school today. So there is a market. It's all just about, can you give them a choice at a price point they can afford? And if you truly understand their income level, then you can backtrack it. That was part of one of the core things we did in developing our business model. When we started our first school, we ran it as if it was the 1,000th, so that we're able to very quickly put the systems in place so that once we were running about 60 schools, it became very clear what was needed that we hadn't yet invested in. But we'd always planned for that. And it's that planning that is what enables you to keep your costs at $5 or $6 a month on average. We'd probably need to be charging more than $10,000 a year per child if we ran one school. It's because we're running 300. And we already have the forward-looking plans to be running 500 in Kenya and to be opening up in Nigeria, in India, and Uganda, that then we can know through good financial planning, like any other business, that we can keep our price point at this level because we're going to have enough customers, we're going to have enough children we're serving in the next 2 to 3 years that it supports the entire business. Something that we have learned time and time again is you need to collect data and you need to collect it yourself. It's also really important to plan for scale. Understand, what do you need to spend What type of kind of financial backing do you need to make the radical disruption you want? Whether your product is itself technology, ours isn't. Our product is itself a better educated child. But we have to use technology all along the way, both from our financial processing to how we distribute our content, to how we monitor and evaluate our systems, to lower our cost basis. And honestly, it improves the integrity of the data and gives us things in real time and makes an otherwise kind of opaque business unit transparent. Leverage technology everywhere you can, and you're much more likely, to make the radical disruption you're seeking.